I hate to do this, but I got to be the curmudgeon. I have to be the skunk at the garden party. This is too triumphalist, okay? This is everybody's giddy. I look at the coverage and it's great, and if I had to write a play about what I think it's going to be like, it would be entitled The Ice Pick Cometh, okay? Get ready, they're coming, all right? And it's good. Everybody should feel good and liberated and everything else. But if we don't win the election, we hadn't done anything. We haven't changed the temperature in America. We haven't changed anything. And I think the vice president, I hope that, her campaign is getting ready. They're coming at us, and they're going to keep coming. And this kind of giddy elation is not going to be very helpful much longer, because that's not what we're going to be faced with. And I think the vice president, put it in athletic terms, needs a really good cut man in a corner, because she's getting ready to get cut. There is no doubt that the polling has gotten better. And it's, it's kind of 45-45. And there's no doubt it's gotten 2, 3, maybe, touch more somewhere in some places. But it's still the same country, all right? Might be a different mood. And all I'm saying is, good, bang your helmets against the locker. That's fine. But you still, when you go out there, you're facing Alabama. And just get ready, because these Republicans, you're right, they got caught off guard. But they're going to get their sea legs, and we're having to get a whole campaign started and stuff. And all I'm doing is saying, watch out, people. Don't get too far out there. If we don't win this, all this good feeling is going to evaporate and be all for naught.
That, of course, is longtime Democratic strategist James Carville, with some strong warnings to Democrats to temper their excitement about President Biden dropping out of the race and Vice President Kamala Harris surging forward as the clear frontrunner for the nomination. And he says Democrats should prepare for a bloody fight from Republicans. Welcome back to Morning Joe. It is Friday, July 26th, just after 7 a.m. here on the East Coast. I'm Jonathan Lemire, holding on the fort for Joe, Mika, and Willie, our man in Paris. Jen Palmieri, Michael Steele, Simone Sanders-Townsend, and Eugene Robinson still with us. Jen Palmieri, Carville said, as only Carville can say, what I have definitely heard from Democrats in recent days. Like, this is no doubt, it's a new race. There's a huge burst of enthusiasm. Hey, but take it easy here. There is a lot of time and a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why James has to be such a Debbie Downer. I don't understand why we need to step on our enthusiasm. Seriously, Democrats are enthusiastic. They're excited. They're excited to the ticket. They're excited to have an answer to the question about who's the best person to take on Donald Trump. And I don't think anybody is unaware of how nasty the Republicans can get, in that it's a difficult race. The vice president has seen a big jump in polling, right? That's sort of what's hard is the last 2 to 3 percentage points, right? That's what the whole game is about. But we've had a really great week, and her numbers improving. And I think that it's true, though, that the Republicans really are caught off guard. They don't quite know how to attack her, or what her ticket's going to end up being. And I think having only 100 days I agree with Michael Steele. Shorter campaigns can be better. It's particularly hard with a woman candidate to get elected in this country, right? We've seen that before. When it's happened in other times, in other countries, it's happened in this sort of circumstances. It's where the nominee has not gone through a big, long, brutal primary process like happens in the U.S., but like in a parliamentary system where where the person is presented as the leader of the party to the country as a winner, right? That's what we have here. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see everyone uniting behind her. There's not second guessing about what kind of candidate is best. It's like, she's our candidate. She's the most experienced person out there. She's the best prepared. She's way more prepared than Donald Trump or J.D. Vance. And we're going to go forward. Sure, it's going to get ugly. We know what we know what they do, but our team is energized and ready to fight. and you have a really prepared candidate to take this on as well. And that's the best position the Democrats can be in. And so far, a week into this, Republicans have not figured out a way to go after her. But they will be prepared when they do. And also, she's going to have millions and millions and millions of Americans that are fired up to help her, have her back when it comes to money, when it comes to voting, when it comes to GOTV. And the campaign right now needs to lock in all of that support. There's so much enthusiasm. Lock those people in, give them assignments, get them ready to go, tell them this is going to be hard, and keep engaging them and communicating with them. And then I think, yeah, then you're ready for the battle that is going to be coming, particularly once you get through past the Democratic convention.
Yeah, just one note, an example of that enthusiasm. The Harris campaign held a Women for Harris Zoom last night, set a record for largest Zoom ever, about 150,000 people on one Zoom call. Michael Steele, it is surprising how Republicans do seem unprepared for Kamala Harris. I mean, this has been, we knew President Biden, he wanted to stay in the race, but there have been at least rumors of this, eventuality since the day after the Atlanta debate. And sure, they will have stronger attacks to come, and they are sharpening messages right now on immigration. But really, it seems like they're flailing and falling back on DEI attacks, which are racist and sexist. Nothing's working, at least so far.
Well, okay, I agree with that. Broadly speaking, it's not working. But for the audience that all that's trained towards, it is working. This DEI conversation is not for mainstream voters. This is their base. Because there is some, as I noted in the last hour, there is some sort of nervousness about J.D. Vance and all the stuff that's coming up now that should have been vetted and considered instead of listening to, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric. They should have had a real vetting process, and they wouldn't have this sort of Achilles heel being exposed. So this is really kind of showing we have fight, and we're going to go after Kamala. I appreciate where Carville's coming from. The thing he said to me that is the most important note and takeaway, Simone, is this is the same country. All right. This is the same country. So you've got to understand the landscape in which this race is taking place. Donald Trump is sitting at his ceiling, 48%. All right. And so the reality becomes for the vice president, how does she get to 50? How does she get to 49? How does she get those 2 to 3 extra points that Jen just referred to that will make the difference in the race? And so, yes, that excitement is part of that, I think. But this is the same country, half of which says they like Donald Trump and they like what he's been saying on a whole lot of things, including the DEI stuff. So narratively speaking, we've got to keep it focused. Let's have the fun now, get that energy and push it out and push it up. But I think Carville is right in the sobering reality that when you come back down to earth, you better have a game plan, because I'll be straight up about this. Democrats hadn't shown much of a game plan up to this moment. And so now they've got, I know you and I've had this debate, but I'm just looking at why we here and how we got here.
So let me say this,
Yes.
I'm just a baby. I don't know much. I did get a president elected, but I don't know a lot.
I've gotten several, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, I haven't lived as long as Mr. Carville or you, Mr. Chairman, but I think that James Carville, why are we trampling on the enthusiasm of the Democratic Party electorate? Because that's what I thought y'all people wanted. The people who, not you, Michael, but I'm talking about the folks that were talking about the fact that, apparently they did not feel as though the president was speaking directly to the voters. Didn't want the president. The Democratic voters wanted something new and exciting. They didn't want this matchup. That's what James Carville said. I'm reading 2 days ago. He said we have a country that 72% wants something different. So now that the 72% have gotten something a little different, now you're telling them don't be excited. You need to calm down. This doesn't matter. What he is saying is the nomination of the first black woman, woman of South Asian descent, to be the Democratic Party nominee, only the second woman now ever to do that after Secretary Clinton. Don't get too excited about that. I'm not here to trample on the excitement of the voters. I want them to be excited. You know why? Because excited electorate, those are people that want to organize. Those are people that want to get on that call, all these calls that have happened, and they got the Zoom tech employees feeling like, oh my goodness, please slow down, get to election day. Those are the folks that knock doors, that give money, that organize their people, that go to the polls, that vote early and encourage their friends to do so as well. And that is how you win elections. The campaign, they absolutely need to make sure that they are tethered into the reality of this race. And my piece on MSNBC Daily today talks about that. I think this is a winnable race for the vice president. There's a lot to do within 100 days, but she can, in fact, do it. But you need the electorate to be excited and the campaign to be grounded in the reality. And I don't think that we've seen the campaign not be grounded in that reality. I have not heard the vice president once talk about the historic nature of what she is embarking on. I have heard her talk about the fact that she took on the big banks, criminals, rapists, and murderers. Okay? I have heard her talk about the economy. I have heard her talk about child care. I have heard her talk about Project 2025, all of the things that are going to turn out an electorate. So stop poo-pooing on the voters, okay? Don't be mad because this ain't what you wanted. Not you, Michael. I'm talking to the people. They know who I'm talking to.
So, Eugene Robinson, let's talk a little bit about this balancing act, because there's no doubt there is extraordinary enthusiasm right now. There is the pent-up energy among Democrats, desperate to get engaged in this race, and now they have. But we are, of course, in the early days. We've only seen a handful of polls. They show momentum for the vice president, no doubt. We need to see some more battleground state polls. Right now, the Trump team is badly outspending Democrats on the airwaves, although the vice president is getting so much media attention, doesn't need to be spending in ads right now, and that will change soon enough.